Okay, let's unpack this. Ever wished your phone could, zoom right in on something way across the field?
Yeah.
Or maybe get you super close to, like, a tiny flower or bug without casting a shadow or making it look weird?
Yeah, always tricky.
Well, buckle up, because our deep dive today really suggests that the upcoming Vivo X300 series, it might just be rewriting the rules for phone cameras.
It certainly looks that way.
We're plunging into the leaked specs, really trying to get our heads around how this series is set to maybe define a new chapter in mobile imaging.
And what's fascinating here is where this info is coming from. It's mostly digital chat station, DCS. You know, that tech leaker in China?
Oh, yeah, they're usually pretty spot on, right?
Incredibly reliable, often. Their track record, even for brands like Apple, it just lends a lot of weight to these leaks.
Right.
And the sheer amount of detail, how consistent it is, how different bits seem to line up, it feels much more than just, random guessing. It feels highly probable.
Okay, good. So our mission today isn't just going to be rattling off specs. We want to dig into the strategy, the thinking behind these phones, especially that camera approach.
Exactly.
So let's just jump in. What makes these devices so intriguing for anyone who cares about pushing what a phone camera can actually do?
Well, Vivo's always put the X series right at the forefront of camera tech, often with that Zeiss partnership shining through.
Yeah, that's been their signature for a while.
And the X300 series looks set to carry that torch for sure.
So what's the overall vibe? Just more megapixel?
Actually, no. It feels like they're moving beyond that. They're integrating some really sophisticated optics, specific sensor models, even new lens coatings. It's about a more refined, more versatile experience overall.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of what you see in mature flagship markets, right?
Yeah.
Differentiation comes from these specialized, really high-performance features.
Makes sense. So how are they actually doing it? Let's break down these leaked camera setups, because you mentioned there's a really interesting difference between the two models.
Yeah, quite fundamental.
Let's start with the big one, the X300 Pro, the imaging powerhouse.
Right, so the X300 Pro, its main camera, is rumored to be 50 megapixels, using Sony's latest Lightia sensor, the LYT-828. It's a decent size, like 11.3-inch, maybe 11.28.
Okay. And what does that mean in practice?
Well, it's known for impressive dynamic range, capturing details in super bright and super dark areas of the same shot. No blown out skies or just black shadows.
Gotcha.
Plus, it's supposed to have much less noise in low light, cleaner shots. And the autofocus is meant to be super fast and accurate.
Sounds solid. What else?
Then there's a 50MP ultra-wide, pretty standard for a flagship these days. But the real headline grabber, that's the periscope telephoto.
Yeah, the zoom lens.
Yeah, but get this. Rumored 200 megapixels on a pretty large 11.4-inch sensor. Highly likely it's that Samsung HP9 sensor we've heard about. And it enables 5 times optical zoom.
200 megapixels on the telephoto. Wow.
Exactly. And they're apparently adding a new Zeiss lens coating, too, specifically to cut down reflections and lens flare. Those annoying green blobs you sometimes get?
Yeah, hate those. Okay, so that Pro model sounds like, well, a beast, especially for zoom. But what about the standard X300? You said it's different.
Very different approach, yeah. Almost like two distinct philosophies. For the vanilla X300, the main camera is rumored to be 200 megapixels.
Whoa, okay, so they swapped it.
Kinda. So 200MP main, also on 11.4-inch sensor. Huge resolution for your everyday shots. It still gets a 50MP ultra-wide like the Pro.
And the telephoto?
That's a 50MP unit, but with 3x optical zoom. Uses the Sony IMX882 sensor. We actually saw that sensor in the telephoto on the previous X200.
Okay, so let me get this straight. The Pro, 50MP main, but that crazy 200MP telephoto.
Right.
The vanilla, 200MP main, but a 50MP 3x telephoto.
You got it.
That's not just making the vanilla model cheaper, is it? That feels like a really specific design choice.
Precisely. It's fundamental. It suggests they're optimizing each phone for maybe a slightly different user.
How so?
Well, the X300 Pro probably offers that more, balanced, almost professional grade system.
Yeah.
Big emphasis on the zoom quality and versatility.
Yeah. Right, for people who really use that long zoom.
Exactly. Whereas the vanilla X300, it's aiming for that headline spec, that 200MP main sensor. Maybe for users who prioritize detail in regular shots, perhaps in a package that's a bit more accessible price-wise.
Interesting split. Now here's the bit that really caught my eye. The telephoto macro. This sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, this is potentially a major feature. Telephoto macro basically means capturing really extreme close-ups, but from further away than you normally would with a macro lens.
Okay. Why would you want to do that?
Several big advantages, especially on a phone. First, you get a more comfortable working distance. You're not like bumping into the subject or blocking your own light.
I've definitely done that trying to shoot insects.
We all have. Second, it gives you a better perspective. Less of that distortion you sometimes see when you use an ultra-wide for macro. Things don't look stretched or weird.
Makes sense.
And third, because it's a longer focal length, you tend to get a more natural, pleasing background blur, that nice bokeh effect.
Okay, so no more scaring off the butterfly, better lighting, less distortion, nicer backgrounds. Sounds pretty great. How's this different from what other phones do? Like, say, the Pixel.
Good comparison. It's quite different. The Pixel 9 Pro, or XL for example, uses its 48MP ultra-wide lens for macro focuses.
Right.
Which works, absolutely. But it means you have to get really close. Sometimes you cast a shadow, and you can get that ultra-wide perspective distortion.
So Vivo's approach.
For the X300 Pro, the leaks explicitly say that the 200MP periscope telephoto, it enables 5x optical zoom, including a macro function.
Wow. Macro shots with a 5x zoom lens.
Yeah. Think about the level of detail you could get on something tiny, from, a foot or two away instead of an inch. Unparalleled versatility.
And the vanilla X300. Does it get macro, too?
It's slightly less explicit, but its 50MP 3x telephoto is reported to have a new optical prism module.
A prism module. What does that suggest?
Well, while it doesn't scream macro directly, that kind of module strongly implies some advanced way of bending light or focusing really, really close. It points towards a series-wide effort to really boost close-up photography, even if the implementation is slightly different.
It feels like Vivo's doubling down here. Weren't they already pretty good at macro?
They were. Actually, the X200 Pro got praised specifically for close-ups in macro last year by a pretty well-regarded photo publication. So yeah, they're not starting from scratch. They're building on something they're already known for, pushing for maybe a more authentic, higher quality macro experience using dedicated hardware, not just software tricks on an ultra-wide.
Okay, but isn't there a risk here? Like, are they focusing too much on this niche? Could it put off people who just want a great all-around camera?
It's a valid question. It's definitely a gamble, specializing like this. But the reward could be huge if they nail it. They could own a specific high-end photography niche that, frankly, isn't perfectly served by most phones right now. It's a differentiator.
Okay, makes sense. So you've got these incredibly advanced cameras. What's powering them? You need some serious grunt under the hood, right? And battery life to match.
Absolutely critical. And the rumors are pretty consistent here. Both models are expected to run on MediaTek's next big chip, the Dimensity 9500.
The flagship chip for next year.
Yep. Should feature ARM's new top core, the X930, clocked pretty high, and a new Immortalis GPU. Long story short, top-tier performance. Enough to handle all that complex image processing, the AI stuff, everything. Smooth sailing, hopefully.
Good. What about the screens we'll be looking at?
For the X300 Pro, expect a flat 6.8-inch display. Resolution is quoted as 1.5K, which is usually around 1260 by 2800 pixels. Sharper than full HD, not quite full 2K.
Okay. And the vanilla?
That one's rumored to be a bit more compact. A 6.3-inch OLED screen, probably 120 Hz refresh rate. So both should offer, vibrant colors, smooth scrolling, the usual flagship experience for viewing those photos.
And the battery. You mentioned needing stamina.
This is potentially another huge highlight. The X300 Pro is rumored to get a massive 7,000 mAh battery.
7,000. Wow.
Yeah, that's a full 1,000 mAh or more than the X200 Pro. Remember when 4,000 was big?
I do.
7,000. That's serious capacity.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, probably needed for powering that chip and those demanding camera features, especially if you're shooting a lot of 200MP shots or doing heavy processing.
Any word on the vanilla model's battery?
Some reports are suggesting it might also get a very large cell, maybe 6,000 mAh, maybe even 7,000 as well. That'd be pretty impressive if true.
Definitely. And charging these behemoths.
Needs to be fast. The Pro is tipped for 120W wired charging and 50W wireless. The vanilla, maybe 100W wired. Crucial speeds to top up those huge batteries quickly so you're not tethered to the wall.
Right. And what about like the build and other features? Any fancy materials or durability stuff?
For the Pro, expect similar dimensions to the previous gen, but there are hints of premium materials. Think aerospace-grade titanium alloy, maybe liquid metal zirconium alloy, that sort of high-end stuff.
Sounds fancy. And tough.
Well, hopefully. The vanilla X300 is rumored to boast really robust IP68 and IP69 ratings.
IP69. That's not one you hear often.
No. IP68 is your standard survives being dunked in water. IP69 adds protection against high-pressure, high-temperature water jets. So, incredibly resistant to water and dust. Basically built tough.
Good to know. Anything else? Fingerprint scanner?
Yeah, probably a 3D ultrasonic fingerprint scanner under the display. And wireless charging seems likely for the vanilla model too, not just the Pro.
Okay, so connecting all these dots, how does Vivo stack up against the big players we expect in 2025? Are they carving out their own space here?
I think they absolutely are. You can see the clear evolution from the X100, the
Yeah.
X200, bigger batteries, better chips, and these really refined specific camera choices.
So compared to, say, Samsung.
Right, the Galaxy S25 Ultra, expected to have a 200 MP main camera, plus its usual 3x and 5x zooms. But notice the difference. Samsung puts 200 MP on the main, Vivo puts it on the telephoto for the Pro.
Ah, yeah, different priorities.
Exactly. Vivo seems to be betting big on redefining zoom and close-up quality from a distance.
Yeah.
It's a strategic pivot.
What about Apple, the iPhone 16 Pro Max?
Anticipated specs are maybe 48 MP main, 12 MP 5x telephoto. Apple's cameras are always strong overall, but they haven't really gone deep on specialized macro modes. Definitely not telephoto macro, so Vivo offers something distinct there.
And Google. You mentioned the Pixel's ultra-wide macro.
Yeah, the Pixel 9 Pro XL, likely 50 MP main, 48 MP 5x telephoto, and that 48 MP ultra-wide doing macro focus. So Pixel has dedicated macro, but via the ultra-wide. Vivo's telephoto macro is just a fundamentally different approach, potentially better perspective, better working distance.
Okay, direct competitor territory, Xiaomi, the 15 Ultra.
That's a big one. Xiaomi 15 Ultra might also have a 200 MP periscope telephoto, maybe alongside a big 1-inch tight main sensor, and it apparently has a close-up mode.
So similar specs on paper.
Potentially, but Vivo's leak explicitly mentioning a macro function on that 200 MP lens suggests maybe a more dedicated, more optimized implementation. Could be more polished for that specific task. We'll have to see.
One more, OnePlus 13.
OnePlus 13 is looking more like the vanilla X300 maybe. 50 MP main, 50 MP 3x optical zoom periscope. Comparable baseline, but again, Vivo's potential advantage is that advanced telephoto macro capability, possibly on both models.
So that decision, putting the 200 MP sensor on the Pro's telephoto and pushing this telephoto macro idea,
Yeah.
it really is a bold move, challenging how phones normally approach cameras.
It really is. And it raises that key question. Competitors go for huge main sensors or use ultra-wides for macro. Vivo's pushing the envelope on zoom and close-ups from a distance.
What's the payoff?
The payoff could be capturing a dedicated group of users, photographers, enthusiasts, maybe even professionals who really value those specific capabilities. Positioning Vivo not just as another phone with good cameras, but as an innovator that excels in a challenging specific area of photography.
And the risk.
The risk is always that the niche isn't big enough, or that general improvements from Apple, Samsung, Google just make their overall packages more appealing to the average buyer, even if Vivo wins on telephoto macro.
Makes sense. So wrapping up, when do we actually expect to see these phones? And where will they sit in the market?
The launch window looks like around October 2025. Pretty standard timing for these big flagship releases.
Okay.
There are some whispers the Dimensity 9500 chip might get announced as early as September, which could maybe pull the China launch forward a bit, but October seems the main target.
And price? Are we talking top-tier flagship money?
Looks like it. Early predictions for China suggest around 4,300 yuan for a base model, similar to the X200 series. Globally, maybe around 55,000 rupees for the standard X300 in India. And potentially closer to 85,000 rupees for the X300 Pro 5G there.
Okay, so definitely competing head-to-head with the next iPhones, Xiaomis, Oppos.
Exactly, right in that premium flagship battleground.
Well, this has been a really fascinating deep dive. It feels like the big takeaway isn't just about bigger numbers, is it?
Not at all.
Vivo seems to be making a very clear strategic statement, doubling down as a mobile photography leader, especially with that, frankly, groundbreaking 200 MP periscope telephoto that explicitly supports macro.
Yeah, that hardware-driven approach to close-ups, but from a comfortable distance. With better perspective, better bokeh, that really could set it apart.
And it's not just the cameras, right?
No, absolutely not. Backing it up with that top-end Dimensity 9500 chip, and especially those massive batteries up to 7,000 mAh, that's crucial.
Why so critical?
Because those amazing camera features, they chew through power, all that processing running those big sensors.
Yeah.
You need serious battery life to actually use those features all day without constantly hunting for a charger. It makes the whole package viable.
So this isn't just another phone launch, then, it feels like a statement about what's possible when a company really focuses on tricky, specialized parts of mobile photography.
I think so. It pushes you to think differently about how you capture the world.
Yeah, moving beyond just snapshots towards, I don't know, discovering tiny details, maybe.
Exactly. And it leads to a thought for everyone listening. As mobile cameras keep evolving like this, how might these kinds of specialized tools like telephoto macro change the way you capture the world around you? Could it push you to notice details you just walked past before? What kind of new stories could you tell if you had that different perspective, that ability to get close without, actually getting too close?
That is a fantastic thought to end on. Hopefully, this deep dive into the Vivo X300 series leaks has given you all some food for thought, some real insights into where mobile photography might be heading next.